welcome back to Football 301. I am your host, Nate Tice. Great show for you today. We got some take poker. Are we going to double down on some preseason takes? Are we going to fold? Are we going to check or to set up a check raise maybe in a couple of weeks, or a check fold? I'm sure a lot of poker players love a good check fold play, a nice passive play. But today we're going to be aggressive. We're going to get after some of our biggest takes from the preseason, some under the radar ones we want to rekindle. Should be a lot of fun. To help me do that, to help me flog ourselves for everybody's liking, my guy, Matt Harmon. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing good, Nate. 3 weeks in here, I think we have just enough data now at this point to either completely let go of your priors or, I think for the most part, like if you're kind of still holding on to your priors too tightly at this point, you might be coping. You might be coping a little bit too hard. So I'm definitely ready to do some capitulating today. I'm definitely ready to, in some instances, maybe hang on, but hang on a little looser than I was probably 3 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah, I think some I'm willing to be very Irish and stubborn about. And I think some I'm willing to be like, yeah, whatever. I got that one wrong. I missed. I think Lions fans are being very nice to me right now about how I talked about them at the end of the preseason. But I have said they have proven some things, especially they did last night. We'll touch on that game a little bit during the show because we have a team take that we had that we're going to talk about and have our take poker on. But before we get into this poker session, check us out on the Yahoo Sports Network. Our brand new streaming TV service, Yahoo Sports Network, is available to stream on leading fast services or on yahoosports.tv. All right, like I said at the beginning, we're going to check, fold, or double down on preseason takes. Producer Stone is absolutely giddy about this segment. He cannot wait. Producer Stone is even-keeled kind of guy. My fellow Mariners fan. Very even-keeled. Stone is it's an app name. It's an app name for him. But he is excited for this segment today, particularly one team we're going to talk about that I can't wait to get into. But our first team that I just mentioned, they played on Monday night last night against the Lions, who's absolutely steamrolled them on the ground. We both, this is the first take we're going to get into, both had the Ravens as our Super Bowl winners. And I believe all three of us had them as a top 5 defense when we did our top 10 defensive show, which feels like a lifetime ago because in football terms, it was a lifetime ago. So Lions win 38-30. Let's first maybe touch on some Monday Night Football thoughts, but also maybe now how's that's making you think about those Ravens team right now, whether you're going to check, fold, or double down on them as a Super Bowl winner.
I do think that game actually kind of perfectly encapsulates both of the questions at hand here, which is whether we're holding out on them being a top 5 defense, which I'm thinking I'm folding on that like right now. But that might be maybe a little bit of an overreaction. The Super Bowl pick is a better question because, and this goes back to Monday night, for the vast majority of that game, I think Troy Aikman said it very well. That this was like 2 heavyweights, it was like a heavyweight fight. He said that a couple of times during the game. And I was like, yes, 100%. This is exactly what, number one, we deserved after Giants Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. And frankly, what we needed. We needed to see 2 like well-oiled machines getting after each other on a primetime game like that in a hostile environment for the Lions. Although there was a fair bit of like Lions chance in that Ravens crowd. That was something I noticed as well. But still, it's typically Jared Goff outdoor road games. This is the boogeyman for Jared Goff. But the Lions come out of there. They play great on offense. But again, about 75-80% of that game, I felt like 2 heavyweights, 2 well-oiled machines. And then I don't know what it is about the Ravens, man. And maybe you can help me with this because I've really been just like grappling with this ever since that game like started to slip away from him. There's something about the Ravens that when it gets into like the end of these games, big games against good teams, they're just a touch too sloppy and a touch too tight. And I'm like kind of tired of hand waving at it, and be like, oh, it's just randomness or it's variance or whatever. There's just like something that happens every single time. I mean, there's just like one or two mistakes. Your best players, by the way, Derrick Henry now 2 of the last 3 weeks has fumbled late in the fourth quarter. Only running back in the NFL that's fumbled for three straight games, but still, like, these games would essentially turn the tide and allow the other team to just run away with it. 2 of the last 3 games, there's something to that. And again, just the way they like punting that ball back to Dan Campbell late in the fourth quarter for John Harbaugh drove me crazy, because that if he gets the chance, he's never doing that in a million years. And never doing that in a million years. And then this is something I really wanted to ask you about. Like, I felt as if late in that game, I think Lamar is an awesome quarterback. Obviously, he's great. Everybody knows that. I'm not breaking any news there. But he's like dropping back so deep at times in that game. Like, is this, and I haven't watched the all 22 of this game yet. I don't know if you have, but obviously you feel like, all right, they're calling deeper passes, but they're having issues protecting up the middle all game. And he's dropping back so deep that then when he has to like inch up past the tackles, which he's essentially dropped past those guys, he's like running himself right into interior pressure that he can't get away from, and either gets tackled like right around the line of scrimmage if he just doesn't get outright sacked. It was just a very frustrating end of that game for the Ravens that I'm very bothered by that, and that is definitely shaking my faith in the idea that they're a Super Bowl team this year.
Yeah, I'm folding as well on the defense take, and I'll check on the Super Bowl contendership because I do like the offense a little bit. And it's also, I'm just looking at and looking at the rest of the teams, it's more like, all right, everybody's kind of gotten some moment where they got kicked in the teeth. It's like, I was feeling great about the Packers, and then they played the Browns, and I just rewatched that game. I was like, how'd you lose this game? So that's the NFL, which makes it very fun. But no, I'm with you that it's a thing now, like where like I said, I'd wave that away. Maybe like, hey, it's just island games. That's what we remember. So of course we remember these mistakes, but it's every game. I mean, there's noon games, as I call them, because that's Central Time when I grew up with, but noon games against the Steelers where Lamar's throwing picks in the red zone. I mean, just a year ago, I think Derrick Henry had a fumble against the Steelers in a game at Pittsburgh, if I remember correctly. But it's just like, yeah, those mistakes just crop up at the worst moments with this team. And then there's other moments where it's like, who is going to stop this offense? Like that. So I talk out both sides of my mouth with their offense. They have those mistakes, but then they have moments of just overwhelmingness. So supernova moments. And I mean, but last night, this is what Charles keeps bringing up, is with that. He is still not a full believer in that Ravens offensive line. And last night was one of those where I was like, I'm kind of leaning towards Charles. I've been kind of neutral with them because I think Lamar and Derrick Henry kind of overcome it anyways. But you see when they have to drop back a ton, there's some leakiness throughout. Credit to the Lions defense and the Lions pass rush for getting after them. They're really teeing off, and it was a complete unit win. It wasn't just, Hutchinson taking over. He had nice moments, of course. He had the forced fumble as well. But, I'm glad Muhammad got a shout out last night, by the way.
Yeah, that was
Muhammad,
awesome.
because he's played well for them for the last year and a half. So it was kind of cool. I was like, is this just a small sample size thing? Because when I watch him, he shows up and I'm like, this guy's like 29. It's not like you don't really get 28, 29-year-old breakout players, but I'm glad he got some love last night. But man, the Lions just on offense, they felt unfazed. I know we're focused on the Ravens offense, but the Ravens defense is where it's really scary. I mean, they can't stop the run right now. It wasn't just last night. So this was since Lamar took over as starter in 2019, I figured this is a good little time period to look at. This was the 6th worst game in terms of success rate allowed on run plays by the Ravens defense. This is the 3rd worst game in terms of success rate in the run game was the last week against the Browns. And then week 1 against the Bills wasn't much further down. It was like 12th or 14th. So this is a thing. And I know Matabike was out last night, but he had been playing. And I think Kyle Vanoy's got to come back as well, former co-worker of ours. But then also, I think Roquan Smith is not good right now. Roquan Smith is like a target for offenses.
This has been a thing now for a while, too.
For a year. It's been like last year, he kind of played himself into shape, and I made jokes. It was kind of like late career Shaq. But it really just felt like last night he had a target. Like those guys were climbing to him. He wasn't making plays in the run game, which is like, all right, if you're going to be a bigger guy and a step slower, at least you can maybe play against the run. And nope, he was getting sealed off. He was not making any plays. He was not disruptive. I thought also just that over the middle of the field, there was plenty of times where those linebackers were working backwards in coverage because of like a blitz look or something, and they were just lost. I thought Goff just had all these answers on 3rd down. Goff played excellent. he had a couple.
Oh, he's awesome.
Other than the one,
he's awesome.
Other than the one third down where he tried to make something happen on the move, which was pretty funny. Everybody was like, I saw him running towards the line of scrimmage, like, oh, he's going to scramble here. Oh my God, he's throwing on the, ooh, Jared. But he knows what he is. That's why he never does it. But he had 2 unbelievable throws to Amon-Ra St. Brown on top of some other ones. But the touchdown to St. Brown, that's a 10 out of 10 throw. That's awesome quarterback throw. And then the 4th and 1 to Amon-Ra St. Brown. That was a great, just ballsy throw, great ballsy call. I also thought it was hilarious that anyone was questioning that if Dan Campbell would go for it. This is the same guy that went for a 4th down in playoff games. He does not care. He is going to go for it. And I thought they set that play up perfectly because they were running duo over and over. The big David Montgomery run was a duo run. And then that play action was off of duo with Amon St. Brown faking the insert. I was like, that's good stuff. I was kind of knocking on John Morton a little bit, but I was like, that was like a really good game from him. 2 games in a row, I would say. But then, I still have questions on the Lions defense, but man, they got 7 sacks, the most Lamar's ever been sacked in the game. Aleem McNeil's coming back, pretty soon, I think. So that's going to add even more juice. It's like they have enough dudes on defense that even if they have some sloppiness, that I think they could still be average. But back to that freaking Ravens defense. They're dead last in success rate allowed to run plays. They're allowing 51.2% of run plays to be successful. Anything over 50% is like an all-time run game for an offense. That's what they're allowing on defense right now. Negative 0.115 EPA per rush. That's MVP quality quarterback play. And that's what they're allowing on the ground right now. So I'm questioning that Ravens defense even more than the offense because I've seen the offense do it. I know they have the stupid mistakes, but that's a Super Bowl caliber offense to me, even with those mistakes. But the defense, man, they're grasping at straws right now. And I'm just trying to figure out where the reinforcements can come, what they could possibly do. And I just don't think they have it on this team right now.
It's tough. It's tough though. But yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And I don't know. I'm not. I think I'm a little more just bothered by what I saw late in the game offensively, maybe than you are. And it's just red zone. Yeah, well, it's like football sometimes is so simple. Like the team that was better on 3rd down and the team that was better in the red zone and the team that just didn't make stupid mistakes won the game last night and was authoritatively better in all 3 of those regards. So and I'm not sitting here panicking about the Ravens, but if I was a Ravens fan, I would want somebody to be talking about this. Because I would be hyper fixated on it because what is the evidence that this season is not going to end exactly as all of the other ones do? That's where I'd want to be collecting these pieces of evidence throughout the course of the season. And right now, I think I'm actually 2 of the last 3 weeks collecting more evidence that this is going to end in the exact same fashion that it always does. So just a little frustrating start to the season. I'm not going to fold on them as a Super Bowl contender because I think it's way too early. And it's, like you said, there's not a bunch of other teams that are just emphatically putting themselves over that, but it's just tough after the last the last two of the last 3 weeks. It's just tough.
Yeah, and again, last thing, it's just for the Lions too. Just gotta praise Hank Fraley, John Morton, 0 sacks, like you mentioned, just some really good stuff. They used the Maryland Eye in Baltimore. The Maryland Eye is the 3 guys in the backfield and an eye. Yeah, human centipede formation. So that was great. Got to see that. I thought it was kind of cheeky, doing that in Maryland, doing the Maryland Eye. I was like, okay, that's fun with Montgomery, Laporta, and Gibbs. All right, we're going to move on to our next take. This is one of yours. That was the Bills have a top 10 defense. So when I was even thinking that the other kind of contenders in the AFC, they feel flawed, this is kind of the one maybe I was thinking of is this unit. But I don't know. I want to hear what you have to think about the Bills defense so far.
I think I'm like micro folding on this one because I think that I was probably over my skis with them being a top 10 unit to begin with, but I think that I feel better about them. Well, I certainly feel better about the Bills defense right now over the last 2 weeks than I did after week 1. After week 1, I was like, oh my God, I am a complete idiot for picking them as a top 10 defense.
Is that the worst?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no.
Yeah, am am I even good at this at all? I don't know. One of those type of feelings after week one. Honestly, the other AFC East team, the Jets, I think is humiliating me more than the Bills are right now as a top 10 defense. But what can you do? So yeah, with Buffalo though, I do think we've seen some promising stuff over the last couple of weeks. I think Joey Bosa's played pretty well for them. Christian Benford continues to be a really good player. But I think they do. I just come back to like the safeties and that potentially being an area that's going to haunt them. In addition to the overall, just I would say both physicality and speed of this unit. At times, when they've been lighter, they've been a really like fast defense that can close on you quickly. I think they've lost a little bit of that juice at this point. So there are some definite promising things that I think they could be a top half of the league defense by the end of the season. But right now, I think I would fold on them being a top 10 unit.
I think you framed that perfectly. That's how I feel about it. Like they could hang in there. Like honestly, the goal of this defense is might not even be top half. It's top 20. Just don't be one of the worst. And I think I'm looking around this AFC. It's like, I think that's enough. I think that's weird to say, but it's like their offense is ridiculous right now. Mm-hmm. Like this is an excellent offense. They're doing everything right, pressing all the right buttons. It is. So that's kind of how my kind of analysis goes sometimes. What do I trust the most right now? I trust Josh Allen. I trust that offense. And Sean McDermott has made it work. Ed Oliver wasn't playing. Matt Milano's been banged up. What's his name? Taron Johnson's been banged up. Three key players along their spine. Great shout out Joey Bosa, though. Going into last week, he had like a 25% pressure rate, which was just absurd. Anything over like 16% is ridiculous. And the Bills haven't had anyone above like 15% since McDermott got there. So having that true guy that can make a play when it comes to a closer. I think Tony Romo uses that phrase, and I always love it. Bosa's been that. He had to play in the run game in week one. I mean, he's getting after the passer. That's huge for this team that likes to rotate their guys by having that true ace. So I'm kind of with you. It's right. There's a little bit more life to it. I just think that it's going to be leaky at times. They're going to give up some points, but they kind of know that. They're trying to get turnovers. That's their formula. I think what's interesting, you mentioned the lighter personnel. They've been playing more base defense than they ever have this year, or at least in 6 years. I believe it was like going into Thursday night, a week ago. That was not last night.
That seems like a long time ago.
They all blend together. Another island game I'm watching is that I was curious. It was like Milano's out. Taron Johnson is back. Okay, what if do they go back to playing 95% nickel like they usually do, 5 DBs, no matter what the personnel is on offense? There they were playing base just over and over, 3 linebackers, even with a backup linebacker in. I think that's really interesting to me. Maybe only me, but I think it's interesting that they're kind of changing up like kind of what they've used. Yeah, they had 21 plays out of base against the Dolphins on Thursday and played really well out of it. They had a 71% success rate out of base. So that's 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers. That's just a different vibe than what they've had. Like Johnson was a weapon for them. They're just saying, no, this is how we want to play. Our linebackers are smaller guys, but they're fast. They can keep up in the pass game while adding a little bit more bulk against the run. It's not going to be a top 10 defense, but I'm with you where I think they could be mid-level and do enough to kind of keep them in game. So, but just an interesting stylistic change. Yeah, 21 plays out of base. I think all of last year they had like 48 total plays out of base. They almost matched that one game on Thursday. So kind of an interesting little tweak, I think.
Yeah, if I can give myself credit, one of the reasons that I had them as a top 10 defense is like, they added a couple, I wouldn't say like stars, even though Joey Bosa is playing closer to a star than he has in, he's just been banged up. That's the thing. Can he stay healthy? But
that's it.
It's not like they added some transformative, like big name, some transformative, like elite player like they thought they were doing with Von Miller back a couple of years ago. But they did add some guys, and kind of just sprinkle that across the unit. And then, really the thing is Sean McDermott's really good at this. Bobby Babich is really good at this. That was really my big reason for keeping them in the top 10. And that, what you just said there about them going to more base, especially against a team like the Dolphins, where typically you think, ooh, that speed is going to kill us if we go to base there. But it was really, it was kind of an inspired move, especially because Tua is just going to dump that thing off in the flats. And as long as you tackle pretty well, you're going to be all right. Then, hey, we can keep it moving. I think that's a good testament to the coaching that goes on in Buffalo.
Absolutely. One of the best tackling teams. I think they're top 5 in missed tackle rate in a good way. last thing that you're dead on right, because I was trying to find the stat. They matched the Bills with nickel 99% of the time over the past 3 years. So the Bills matched the Dolphins 21% with nickel 99% of the time. So and then after Thursday night, they've played 41 snaps of base. In all of 2024, they played 37. So they've already passed it in 3 weeks. I just think that's interesting. I think that, and they're going to get some help. They got some reinforcements coming after some suspensions. They got Larry Ogunjobi, and then they got, I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. Oh, Michael Hoyt, the pride of Brown. Yeah, but it's the reinforcements
biggest
coming.
Linebacker ever, the 97 off ball guy. Like, what an incredible player!
He's such a weird player. T-Rex out there doing things. All right, let's move on to one of mine, which is one that's like gonna hang over me like a gray cloud, not a black cloud, a gray cloud for years and years and years. Trevor Lawrence, top 9 QB, and god dang it, I'm standing pat on this one. I know I'm supposed to double down or fold, but I'm standing pat on this one. And I know there is no stat I can point to that makes me go like, actually, if you look at success rate, because he's middle of the pack, QBR, middle of the pack. The only thing I got for you is sack rate, where he's second. I think 18th in success rate. Just nothing where I can just point it. 13 drops from the Jags receivers so far this year. Easily most in the NFL. He's lost 12 EPA, he being Trevor Lawrence, to drops so far this year because they happen to happen on third downs, in the red zone, just the worst time to have drops. Upon rewatch, this is more of a hat tip to you a little bit too. Liam Cohen and that Jags offense, they got some good stuff going right now. It's a fast offense as far as the skill player guys. They're well schemed. The receivers are a little sloppy right now, but I'm hoping it's just young guy-itis. And as the season goes along, they have tied the NFL record already for illegal shifts. I looked it up for you. They've already tied it.
What?
Through 3 weeks.
They've already tied it. That's incredible.
They've already tied it. They might have broken.
Because this was on my radar last week. This was on my radar last week. So I hadn't looked back at it from week 3. That's incredible.
It depends on the system, like whether they're if they count if they're accepted or if they're just called. And I think if they're just called, that they have the record already.
Well, because they got slammed just 5 in week 2, and all of them were declined.
And then they got one last week, and maybe 2 last week, but for sure one last week on another third down with a beautiful throw from Trevor to BTJ. But that's the thing, is like, that's pretty easy to clean up. Illegal shift is just like, all right, time to stop. ETN maybe know the football play. They had to burn a timeout because Travis Hunter didn't know where to line up on one. It's like, okay, they're young guys. Well, not ETN. That's just his shtick. that's just what he does. But it just makes mistakes. That's why it is. Bashal Tutin's awesome, man. I'm all in on Bashal Tutin. He's so just ETN, just whatever.
He's awesome.
And he can't even catch a swing pass. That's how you had to drop on a play design for him. Yeah, just very frustrating player. But back to Trevor. Just really good understanding right now. He's made a couple mistakes, like the interception against the Texans was a little bit more forgiving on rewatch. Oh my God, I know everyone's going to say you always make excuses for him. It's not a good pick. Like, I'm not saying, but I understood why he got fooled. Corner fell off, and another guy fell off on a sail route. It is what it is. But I really do think he's making a lot of good decisions. You can tell he understands he's always been kind of underrated as a processor, but really understanding where to go with the ball. He's pushing the ball. Also, he's starting to, after, all the hospital ball discussions, and Liam Cohen got mad at him in week 2, where he said, hit him in the chest on that one stick route. And ever since then, Trevor learned. I mean, he's thrown a lot at the body right now. And it's like, oh, I already see an improvement on that in 1 week. Some guys just need that, where a guy just gets up their ass and the guy just says like, hey, you got to do this. I know it's embarrassing. I'm yelling at you, but let's do this. I don't know. There's just a lot of good right now in this offense. And even the O-line's not perfect. They're making mistakes, or I should say they're making mistakes. They're losing as opposed to making mistakes, mental mistakes, which is a big improvement of last year where they weren't even going in the right direction. And now they actually have a good pass protection back. And Logan Allen, who's phenomenal, the rookie in pass protection. There's a lot going on here. Brenton Strange looks great. They're doing some cool design things. Like they did a pin pull with the receivers on a bubble, the ETN touchdown against the Bengals. There's the cover 0 check to win the game, basically, to set the winning score against the Texans. Yeah, it's coming together. I'm really, and the defense is playing well too. But yeah, Trevor, I think, I know it's not, the stats aren't overwhelming and everything. the process has been really good so far, outside maybe just a couple plays. But man, that's why I'm going to stick with him. Maybe not top 9. I'll say top 10. I'll stand pat on this. But why am I wrong? Why am I an idiot? Why am I stubborn about this, Matt?
Well, before I answer that question, I'm going to apologize to producer Stone right now because the two topics that I probably have the most thoughts on are this one and the next one we're going to talk about. So I am going to apologize now for how long-winded I'm about to be, and I promise I will pick.
Perfect.
Buckle up. I promise I'll pick up the pace. I promise I'll pick up the pace as we go up throughout the show. So I'm getting that apology out right now.
We're gonna count for all Jags national talk in just this segment here. We're gonna knock out. Yeah, we're gonna double.
Stone is currently dropping the next topic into the next segment. So there you go. That's good producing right there. Because this is the most, and I think this is going to be the most fair Jaguars talk that you get from anyone in the national media. Because do I think you're stubborn, Nate? Yes, I do think you're a little stubborn on the Trevor Lawrence thing. That being said, I have been put in a position where I have had to defend Trevor Lawrence, and I am not a Trevor Lawrence guy by any means. I've just kind of been neutral on him throughout the course of his career. I've not been some kind of Trevor Lawrence defender or anything, and I certainly think he is a flawed quarterback. But this is something that I've realized. I had a whole discussion with my wife about this recently, that as I'm getting older, the thing that is bothers me the most is just intellectual dishonesty, people just being intellectually dishonest. And this drives me crazy, particularly. I mean, it drives me crazy in a lot more things than football. And our topic of conversation was not Jaguars offense related, but it drives me crazy in football when people can't just be honest about what's going on here. Everybody wants to just blame Brian Thomas Jr.'s struggles on Trevor Lawrence, or blame and this is such a thing in the fantasy community because Shane Waldron's become this boogeyman. Shane Waldron is the passing game coordinator. Look at what happened with Jackson Smith and Jigma and Rumble Jones. It's brother, I promise you that Shane Waldron, who was the passing game coordinator for the 2018 Rams when they went to the freaking Super Bowl, is not the canary in the coal mine or whatever, the guy tearing down Jacksonville from within. Yes, because like you said, the Jaguars passing game is actually really well designed right now. The whole offense is really well designed right now. And yes, Brian Thomas Jr. was awesome as a rookie, but he is out there actively making mistakes on an every week basis. And if you are looking at his stats and thinking this is a Trevor Lawrence problem, Trevor Lawrence has to own some share of the blame here, because I think he hasn't been a consistently accurate quarterback, and he does make a fair too many mistakes for me personally. But we got to slice this blame pie up a little bit more than that. It is funny that the two guys who have let him down the most, really just the one guy that has let Trevor down the most, is Brian Thomas Jr. The guy that was supposed to be the guy that the head coach goes to the podium at the combine and says, we're going to build the whole passing game out of this guy. And they're trying to, he's just not making the most of his opportunities. And that just has to get better, period, end of story. I think it can get better because we know BTJ has the ability to do that. And I think he just has to get better in certain minor areas of not minor areas, but kind of niche areas of wide receiver that take you from being a good receiver to a great receiver. And I think they're trying to empower him to be a great receiver. And right now, that is a learning curve and it's a work in progress. For Trevor, I almost kind of loved that Liam Cohen got on his ass in that Bengals game, and that he kind of fired back with the hand wave, and that then Liam made the illusion of oh, well, this is what Baker and this is how we were all the time in Tampa Bay. We were constantly going back and forth. And sometimes I'm man, I kind of wish Trevor Lawrence was like Baker Mayfield. He just, had a little bit more, I don't know how else to say it, but a little bit more it to his game at times, you know? And I think that's why I'm think you're right to just, even if I do think you're stubborn with top 10 quarterback, I think you're right to hang on here, because I want to see what this looks like in November and December before calling it a failure here in September.
Yeah, no, it's one of those on rewatch, and I've been up and down on the Jags. I didn't have them as a playoff team because it was wait and see. That's why I have to see what this looks. It's a very young staff. The offensive staff as well. I know Shane Waldron feels like a boogeyman for forever, but he's a younger guy even. Their OC is, younger than me. You know, the head coach is only a couple of years older than me. I know the quarterback coach. We used to GA together, Spencer Whipple. So it's like, it's a very kind of funny kind of staff for me to look at, because that's always worrisome, because I never will forget the Nathaniel Hackett Broncos. I know this is unfair to Liam Cohen and the rest of the staff, but it was like, oh, these guys are all first year coaches. Like, they are all just assistant line coach that's now an O-line coach, assistant receiver coach that's now a receiver coach. It's like, that's a lot of responsibility that these guys are getting. The Jags, though, it's just stuff is right. Like, there's nothing I look at where, even when the mistakes happen, I'm like, oh, that receiver just had to get a little bit more depth, usually BTJ, or they just have to figure out where they're lined up, because they're trying to do cadence stuff. That's why the illegal shifts are happening, because they're trying to do the harder stuff that down the road pays dividends. But when you have a younger team, a youngish team, a lot of new faces, they've had sloppiness before, it's just not in their kind of bones yet. But I think they're just kind of, that DNA is building. Like, I don't know if that's the right metaphor to use, but it's like they're building up the muscle. How about that? It's like a weightlifter building up muscle. Like, that's what they're doing right now. It might be some tears, might be some strains, but there's some good stuff here. And that's not even talking about the defense. It's playing fast, doing some cool stuff with their personnel. I know you like Devin Lloyd too, and he's playing excellent right now. Actually, Jordan Lewis, their corner that they signed from Dallas, looks like amazing. Like, not
his
just
pick
like,
on
he had
CJ Stroud was like incredible.
And he's had other plays too, and
even
coverage, good plays against the run. Yeah, I know. So, and then they got my guy Dennis Gardick from the Cardinals that's playing well. So, Jags are a very fun team right now. They're not perfect. There's some sloppiness still there, but there's some good stuff happening, and I think Trevor's a big part of it. Like, him getting the ball out quick, he knows where to go. O-line's still not great, but they're trying to go in the right direction, and I think they're being well coached right now. So, really good stuff. And even when they make mistakes, they're scoring touchdowns. Like when they go the wrong way on a screen pass and Bashal Tutin makes a guy miss and scores a touchdown on it. Like, that's how you know some things are working. You know, balls bounce your way. All right. Because we just spent way longer on the Jags than probably anybody else, which is get ready for it. Strap in. AFC South is wide open. So Jags are going to be very relevant. We're going to take our first break and we'll come back with a few more poker takes. All right, we are back. Matt, on to one of your next takes. I'll let you handle this one. What was the take? And are you checking, double downing, or folding?
Yeah, Raiders under 7.5 wins. And I'm going to double down on this one. I kind of felt like crazy all throughout the I kind of felt like crazy all throughout the offseason about just like, are we sure this Raiders team, like 7.5 wins? Are we sure this team is going to be good? Like, and I had some general skepticism around that. And honestly, like, I don't want to be alarmist, but I'm really bothered by a lot of what's going on here in the first 3 weeks for the Raiders. And I'm interested to see, okay, that's interesting because I want to see if any of our things line up here. So again, I'm going to try not to be too long winded on this, but
no, go for it.
There's well, let me just first say about the defense. The linebackers are such a mess. I know obviously the tackle attempt on Jeremy McNichols, that like the fact that play turned into a 60-yard touchdown was insane, but that's like somehow maybe the third or fourth most disturbing play that you can highlight from that defense against Washington. So the linebackers and just the second level of that defense, I thought was going to be a problem. It's been as bad as you could possibly imagine so far. The defense is just a complete mess. So focusing on, I think the thing that, and I think most people knew it was going to be a mess besides Max Crosby, but I think focusing on the thing that maybe people had some optimism for, which was the offense, I've got a lot of problems with what's going on offense. Let's start with the passing game, because I think that might be a little more surprising for people. Part of me kind of thinks that it's like Chip Kelly might be big braining this passing game just a little bit, or like galaxy braining this thing just a tiny bit. Brock Bowers is hurt. That's a part of this. Like if he was 100% healthy, maybe I'd feel a little bit different about it. But, you know, all throughout the offseason, as they're trying to sell us like, oh, Dante Thornton is our starting X receiver, it's like, that's really cool for a 4th round pick. My thought was like, yeah, but sometimes you get into the real games and it's like, oh, we have a 4th round pick starting at X receiver. That's not so good. That's gone exactly as like the skepticism would make me imagine it would be. I'm not trying to be mean to the guy, but like he's a 4th round rookie who came out of like the Looney Tunes offense at Tennessee and just probably wasn't really ready for this. I think your boy Trey Tucker has actually popped a little bit, even when he's not scoring 3 touchdowns. Like, you're right, that guy is fast and he doesn't do a lot well, but what he does well is just like if there's a space in the middle of the field, he's going to run into that cavern and he's going to take off afterwards. So that's been like a nice find for them. But this is an offense in the passing game that needs to hit singles and doubles and matriculate the ball down the field. And like the combination of Thornton and Tucker on the outside is not going to allow you to do that. And it's just like they've kind of relegated Jack Best, who I know only has like 2 catches, but each of the catches have been like nice and helpful for the offense. And it's like, that's kind of a guy that would help you hit singles and doubles. And I think you've galaxy brained yourself into thinking that because he has this duplicative skill set with Jacoby Myers, we can't play him, but I think you might need to reevaluate that. And then the thing that's really disturbing is the run game, which Ashton Genty right now has gained 101% of his yards after contact on the ground. 101 percent. Like that's not good. I'm not drunk when I say that either. That is the truth of the matter. And I love that we actually have this on the screen right now, this tweet, because this was what was on my radar the most. Just this offensive line.
I wonder if we would talk about this.
Yes, this is the thing that caught my attention the most, that makes me like I said, I don't want to be alarmist, but just really skeptical of the entire thing that the Raiders have built here. If you're going to take a running back 6th overall in the NFL draft, you better have the ecosystem to drop him in and let him go and crush it. That is obviously through 3 games not what the Raiders have, because the offensive line is not just bad, it's actively regressed from last season. Like, all of these players have gotten worse this year than they were last year. And the thing that really set me off about this was that Pete Carroll was talking about why Jackson Powers Johnson, last year's 2nd round pick, who they moved from center to guard and then was banged up in week 2, they took him off. So Alex Kappa played. Alex Kappa got cut by the damn Bengals. Alex Kappa is not a needle mover. Talking about why they played him again this week, and he's saying things like, oh, short week and blah, blah, blah. Come on, bro, you played on Monday, give me a break. Like, short week, whatever. And then, it dawns on me, like, who's the Raiders offensive line coach again? Oh yeah, it's one of Pete Carroll's 2 sons who's on the staff. 2 sons. So something about this just feels off to me. So that's the end of my Raiders rant. But yeah, long story short, I'm definitely double downing on this being under 7.5 wins. And I'm just kind of skeptical of hey, like Tom Brady's involved in coaching meetings and like just everything about this team right now I'm skeptical of.
Yeah, I am too. The O-line was always what I was kind of staring at. Like, I mean, we're not going to really talk about the Texans today, but same category where it's like,
yep.
I know I see that, but okay, yeah, he's coming back. Okay, you're going JPJ guard. Okay, all right, but the other guys aren't anything to write home about. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm excited about this young guy that flashed as a rookie or something of that sort. And honestly, I looked at the staff. I noticed that the couple Carroll sons on the staff. They usually are with Pete. But then Joe Philbin is on the staff as like a senior offensive analyst. So I was like, okay, they have somebody overseeing it, say maybe helping out the run game. He was on the staff last year as the offensive line coach. So what happened with that offensive line? It wasn't like that was a great unit, and he's kind of fallen off maybe as a line coach. And it's not just us going like, oh, it just doesn't look right, doesn't feel right. Every stat just points to bad line play and lack of explosive plays to like overcome that. 29th in pressure rate allowed. They're allowing 43% of dropbacks to be pressured. Gino's going to take on some pressure because he's such a big game hunter, but still 29th is absurd. Where was the other one? Oh, stuff rate. They're dead last in stuff rate. They're dead last, which is gains of 0 yards or TFL. They're dead last in yards before contact per rush, like you mentioned, negative 0.14, and they're 11th in yards after contact, 28th in sack rate, just like stat after stat after stat of just pointing to bad line play and just a lack of anything. Yeah, just everything's bad. And then that's not even talking about, like you mentioned on the defense. The defense just looks sloppy. And I know Pete Carroll's kind of thing is, play fast, and playing fast will kind of overcome any mistakes that you make mentally and everything. But it's not, just being sloppy and slow is not a great combo. And I think there's moments where Max Crosby, of course, can take over games, but it's just like a lot of all right, decent defensive tackle play. Like you mentioned, the linebackers are, It just seems like they're trying to maybe a clash of ideas where guys aren't playing fast right now. And I'm kind of curious to see. Pete's defenses usually get better as season goes along. But I just also want to keep my eye on that because I think so. There's just it just feels off on the defense right now. And then, Geno's under duress. He's going to try some stuff. We saw it against the Chargers. He couldn't even push the ball because he couldn't get protected. And then when he did, he was just thrown into harm's way over and over. Bowers is banged up. Ashton Genty can't get going, like you mentioned. The receivers are a mess. Amari Cooper's retiring. It's just, this is kind of what I felt. I felt like, this might take some time. Like originally, I got a little excited about certain components of this, but it was like, just goes back to kind of the original gut reaction of what this Raiders team can be. So I think you are absolutely correct in double downing. I don't think it'll be as bad as maybe as it looked right now, losing to a Marcus Mariota-led Commanders team that's banged up as well. But that was, I don't know. They're playing sloppy right now. There's just nothing they can really hang their hat on. It's not like, oh man, the run game's fun, even if other things stink, so just Island of Misfit Toys, it feels like right now. Derogatory, not the complimentary types of Island of Misfit Toys.
That's a great way of saying it. It just feels like a lot of stuff mishmashed together that was a lot of names that people know. And that I think is why there was some optimism about this team. But it feels like again, I don't want to be alarmist, but it just feels like we're going to look back and remember in 2025 when like Tom Brady and Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll and Geno Smith were like all together with the Raiders. That was weird, right? Like that's kind of where I think this is trending.
Yeah, kind of that 2020 Patriots vibes, like Cam Newton, Josh McDaniels, and kind of going on right now. But at least that team was kind of fun sometimes. All right, moving on to one that we both had. I think it was potentially unanimous. No, I believe Charles had it at number 2, but that is the Broncos will have the number 1 defense. I'm going to let you go first. Double downing, check, or folding on Broncos number 1 defense right now.
I mean, I think if we're really not allowed to check, because I think the thing to do would be to check here. I think I would have to fold. Yeah, I think I would just have to fold just because like the nature of defenses is that somebody else probably overtakes them. Like Green Bay obviously looks fantastic. The Browns look fantastic through 3 weeks. And I mean, shoot, the Vikings, like everybody who plays the Vikings, their offense is like in panic mode the week after through the first 3 weeks of the season. It's like, oh my God, the Bengals they'll never do anything without Joe Burrow.
What was that?
Yeah, right. Like, week 2, Drake London doesn't do anything. The Falcons can't throw the football. Week 1, Caleb Williams is broken. Ben Johnson won't be able to fix him. It's like a national talking point after everybody, like every time somebody plays Minnesota. So like in the spirit of it, I would say, I mean, like I guess you'd have to fold on it just because there are other contenders, but generally I think I'd want to see what happens over the course of the season because there's been definitely some mixed results of this unit so far, but at the same time, like Nick Bonito is playing incredible football right now. I think the secondary looks like they're just by all intents and purposes, Patrick Surtain might give up a few more plays this year than he did last year. QJ got him a couple times in this past game because Quentin Johnson has apparently sapped all the best receivers in the league. He's sapped their ability. He's taken it onto himself. And I mean, I want to give him a shout out. He actually has just really improved this year, but still, like, you might give up some more plays on the back end, but generally I haven't seen anything I don't know about you. I haven't seen anything from this defense where I'm like, I'm trying to fold on this. I think the Colts put him in conflict in week 2, but we'll talk about the Colts here in a second. They're putting a lot of people in conflict right now. So I think the right move here is to check, but if forced to choose, I would fold just because I think somebody else could come for it here.
Same. Folding just because I have to with the game. I think, but this is a top 10 defense. Like it's one of those where it's like, it just might not be number 1, but easily top 10 defense. They are figuring out the DB usage, and I think Dre Greenlaw being banged up, which was to be expected. I do think you probably were banking on him missing time. They played more dime, more 6DB looks than they did in the past, and I think that's also just figuring out that personnel that works exactly for them is kind of what they're figuring out. The pressure got there last week against Chargers and Herbert. They had a 54.7% pressure rate, 5 sacks on 29 pressures, but the Chargers were able to run it a little bit on them. So that's something is I think you can jab this defense that really wants to just kind of, be funky and do a lot of movement up front. But they lead the NFL in sacks, lead the NFL in QB knockdowns. They've only given up one explosive run. So even if they are funky, they're not letting it gash them. But they're third in explosive play rate allowed in a good way. So it's like they're not letting up the explosives, even though they're funky. But you can have some success on them. 11th in success rate, 11 yards per play. So it's just one of these defenses that, like, teams can be efficient on them. But it's like you have to be pretty sound, or you have to have Justin Herbert or a real dude at QB, or you're going against the Colts offense, which is just catching everything and doing everything perfect. But I do think this is a good defense because they put so much pressure on offenses. And I think there's just not a lot of offenses that can handle it over time. But maybe some of the better ones will give them a little bit of issues, especially in the AFC, because some of the offenses that they'll potentially have to face. So, yeah, Dre Greenlaw, I want to see once he comes back, but I do think this is a good defense, but maybe not that otherworldly top 1, top 2 defense when it's all said and done, but still good. Moving on now to, I think, the main event for Stone, because this is one of my takes. My take was, well, 1, I'm not going to talk about the Colts until week 9, whenever their bye week was. And 2,
yeah,
they might as well have just started Riley Leonard. So let's see what I had to say about that. And you guess who does not launch the ball ever is Daniel Jones. Ever. Doesn't throw over the middle and barely throws go balls. So like he does not want to throw deep, and he doesn't want to throw over the middle. He doesn't throw anything with timing. It's how he's been since Duke. This is how he has played since Duke. He's the exact same guy. And like as a backup, fine, but like as a competing for the number 1 job, not what I want. Like as a backup, he can get you out of a game because he can run.
Totally.
Like guys that can run, that's fine. I know I'd almost rather see Leonard in this offense too, because he fits this type too. Not even joking. Might as well start Riley Leonard and just see what he's got, because you know what Daniel Jones is. Like you just do. Like you have to know at this point. So. So Daniel Jones leads the NFL in success rate right now, 58%. He's first in net yards
during
attempt.
that was so perfect, by the way. Your face.
He hasn't been sacked. He has been sacked, but he's first in sack rate allowed. He's 4th in explosive passes because he's pushing the ball. So, I'm folding. Hard fold on that one. Yeah, you caught me here. You caught me bluffing, I guess. No, but that, that was a hard fold there. Maybe a little overreacting to the news about their quarterback plan, but so far the Colts offense, want me to rattle off some crazy stats and we could decide whether these are going to hold up or not? I think there's some truth in the middle here. Through 3 weeks, they're currently tied, the Colts, for the 4th highest offense success rate since 2011 when the new CBA was signed. So that's kind of a nice little cutoff. You got the 2011 Patriots, considered one of the best offenses of all time, to 2023 Dolphins, who were very fun for a few weeks until it got cold and sad. The 2018 Chiefs, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes' first year starting, one of the best offenses we've seen in modern times. 2021 Cowboys, which were a fun kind of a moment, during that season. That's who the Colts are tied with. They are in the top 5. Their passing game is the 6th highest passing success rate since 2011. Got the 2011 Patriots, 23 Dolphins, 24 Bills, which you might remember is the MVP Josh Allen team, 2019 Cowboys, 2018 Saints, which was the hyper-efficient Drew Brees, Michael Thomas slant boy era, and then the 2025 Colts. They've only had 2 3-play drives this season. 3.8% of their drives have been 3 plays and punt. The league average is 22.5%. They're averaging 3.69 points a drive, which is very nice. They're scoring on 77% of their drives. The league average is 40%. Daniel Jones is playing the best football of his career. He's not even just targeting the slot over and over. He's throwing real big boy routes. He knows where to go with the ball. He's making some plays happen with his legs. Taking a few too many hits, I will say. He's still got some of that recklessness to him, where I'm comparing him to the battering ram in Lord of the Rings. Is it Grok or Grot? Grond, one of those things. But man, this offense is a lot of fun on rewatch. I think Daniel Jones has been a supreme operator. Really has. The run game has been cool. The O-line's been solid. You know, Bortolini is definitely a target, but they are able to overcome it. I think the skill guys have all looked great. Alec Pierce has leveled up. He has a concussion right now. Pittman has a nice role. Downs has his role. Even A.D. Mitchell had a catch on Patrick Surtain last week. And then Tyler Warren hit the ground running. They're using him perfectly. They know how to kind of use him as a move guy. Jonathan Taylor looks great. Yeah, I'm definitely folding. I actually am enjoying talking about the Colts. I'm enjoying rewatching. Do I think they're a top 5 offense I've seen in the last 15 years? Do I think that's going to hold up? Probably not, but I do think this could be a good operation in a wide open division that they're undefeated at the top at. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll gladly talk about the Colts, and I'll gladly fold on this because I like good offenses, and kind of this whole thing happened. Sorry, Riley Leonard. Sorry, Anthony Richardson. I think Daniel Jones has deserved everything that's happening right now because he is playing really, really well. So I'm curious what you think of the Colts, because I know their pass catchers have been a thing for you for a few years. I was going to say a thorn in your side, but I don't know if it's a thorn or not. But what do you think about the Colts so far, Matt?
Oh, I mean, the thorn in my side was that there's like just so many guys here and nobody can maximize them. But guess what? Like, they're all popping right now, you know, which is really nice. Not obviously from like a fantasy standpoint, but I mean, they're all like doing their thing in this offense, which is really cool to see. So yeah, I couldn't care less about any other prior take. Like, as long as this is working out, I think this is great, because it's just frustrating to me when a group of guys like this is like for a long time, it was, you know, they just, you know, at times they didn't have like all the pieces around the quarterback. But now they do. And I think this is why it was kind of frustrating to watch last season, is because, man, they've got like everything that you could possibly want. And especially last season where, you know, Michael Pittman obviously wasn't healthy. That's one thing that, like, as much as I enjoy Josh Downs' game, and I do think that he is probably the most dynamic, maybe the best receiver on this roster, I also really like Michael Pittman, and was like one of the original people kind of out on a limb for Pittman as a very, very underrated receiver. And last season, he just wasn't healthy. Last season, he played through a back injury because he is like that guy for the team and everything. Mm-hmm. And man, he really is on fire. Like, his game overlaps really well with Daniel Jones. So does Josh Downs. And like, he had an incredible play last week where he rips open down the middle of the field. He's been great. Tyler Warren's been exactly what they wanted. And yeah, Jonathan Taylor, I mean, if we redrafted today for fantasy football, like, I think Jonathan Taylor might be the number 1 overall pick. And he was a guy that just didn't get talked about enough because everybody was obsessed with talking about
you kind of kept pulling your hair out about that. You're like, hey, this guy had like 1,500 yards, whatever, 1,400 and something yards in 14 games. You're like, are we just forgetting about Jonathan Taylor? Like, I remember you saying that specifically when we talked about them.
It was so easy to forget about because of all the drama with the quarterback. And then again, trying to figure out, all right, well, if Anthony Richardson is under center, what does the offense look like, and which pass catcher gets maximized? And then what if it's Daniel Jones? Do we get the PPR scam with Wan'Dale Robinson? And instead, like, we're getting full on Jonathan Taylor on the field all the time, catching passes, like being completely impactful. And yeah, I'm glad you gave a shout out to Alec Pierce, because he was a guy who I thought might waste away with Daniel Jones, but Jones has let a couple of heaters rip to Pierce downfield. And that, I think, that to me is like, Daniel Jones is very comfortable in this environment, because he's a guy that when I think he is comfortable and he's right physically, which is something to monitor because you mentioned taking the hits and everything, and that's been a problem over the last couple of years. He is comfortable and confident enough to let it rip, but I think he has to be very comfortable and very confident. And I think that's just a testament to this overall offensive environment, that he has felt the confidence and comfortability enough to target Alec Pierce, who is like the antithesis of a Daniel Jones type of receiver.
I know. I even just looking at the numbers, because even just watching, I'm like, man, he just has a chemistry with Pierce, but like really just everybody right now. So I was like, because I just remember that good Giants year he had, relatively good year. It was just slot target, bootleg. And then this is like a real offense. Like, he's dropping back and reading the field out. Like, it's not just a spoon-fed training wheels offense. There's some Steichen is pushing all the right buttons right now. I got to give him props.
Of course.
He's always been a good play designer. It's why I've always been kind of a Colts optimist. And I just was like, well, this is Jones. What are you going to do with him? There's a play against the Titans. They run mesh, and mesh is really fun because you could do some tweaks with it, how you have some routes. but you can really get a feel for how the quarterback's seeing it. Everybody runs mesh. So mesh is 2 crossers, usually a middle route behind it, which is a dig or an over. They ran a version where it's the 2 crossers. They got the over route with downs, and then they got Pierce running a deep dig behind that. And let's put it this way. I never thought Daniel Jones would throw that in his entire career if they ran that play 100 times. Never. And he calmly progresses through mesh where he has, he could have hit one of the crossers and been fine, 6-yard gain, cool. But this is always what I talk about, the quarterbacks that I like. I always want the guys that push the ball because I'd rather have that 120-yard gain than try and get 3-4 straight 6-yard gains. That's just the math of the NFL. There he is, calmly reading out mesh, hitting a backside dig in between 2 guys on time, right on the money. I was like, man, this is confidence. This is the epitome of a quarterback playing with confidence, that he's getting to what I think is the no pun intended, but the 301 level read on mesh. And I just never seen, Jones has always just been a point and shoot guy to me. We have our target, his target map up from last game. You can see that little green dot next to the touchdown. And that's that dig throw I'm talking about. I've never, wow, he's really right heavy though. But I never have really kind of
that is interesting.
That's interesting, huh? But I've just never have seen him make that type of read and throw. Like I always thought he was kind of a point and shoot, one read and scramble kind of guy. And his rushing ability has always been underrated. He's always been an efficient scrambler, scrambled a little too much in the past. But I mean, on design runs, he's 8 for 9. They've had 9 design runs for him. 8 of them been successful. And again, he's first in sack rate, and he doesn't have a pick so far this year. Some of that will regress. Obviously, they play. They played the Broncos and played them well. But I do think that it's like this is more real. This is for sure a good offense, even with Daniel Jones. Do I think it's going to be a top 5 I've ever seen? No, but I do think that this could sneaky be a top 12, top 10 offense pretty easily if they design plays like this and everybody plays so confidently. And so. I don't know. I'm glad to kind of eat crow on this. This is like maybe the Lions offense. I'm kind of very happy to fold maybe some of those takes I had, or maybe some of the hesitancy I had about them, because it's good designs. It's good stuff. It's good ball. Even if they've played lesser defenses and stuff. So it's been good stuff. We are going to take our last break because we just can't help talking about the AFC South for 45 minutes. But we're going to take our last break and come back with a few more takes we'll play poker with. We are back. Now it's time for one of yours, Matt. What is the take that you want to play a little bit of poker with? And I have one that might latch onto this one.
Yeah, Panthers win the NFC South. I felt much more confident about folding on this one before week 3. In my defense, they did obviously blow out the Falcons 30-0. That was cool, but I think that says a little bit more about the Falcons than it does about the Carolina Panthers.
The receiver coach.
They fired their receiver coach. That's a new one. Don't see a lot of position coaches getting dumped in the middle of the season. No. That being said, what am I saying? It's not even the middle of the season. We're not even through the first quarter of the season. They're firing their wide receiver. Yeah, they're firing their receiver coach. That's on my radar. But Panthers winning the NFC South, I'll still fold on this one. Think I was trying to get cute, trying to pick somebody other than Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I mean, the Bucs are banged up for sure. I also think if we do, I was talking with Stone about this. I think on the NFC South preview, I probably picked the Bucs, but then on the playoff bracket, I think I picked the Panthers. So, this is how you win. I was right at one point or another. I just have the Panthers have, man, the defense is still a problem, and the fact that they lost Robert Hunt on the offensive line, I think, is going to be a bigger problem when they go against a team where the quarterback's not throwing them throwing his own team out of the game consistently. So definitely skeptical. There's some signs and signals, good things in the offense, which we'll talk about in a second, but they've also come in dramatically unprepared in weeks 1 and 2, which is kind of again on my radar. So yeah, I'll fold on the Panthers winning the NFC South. Maybe they can get to respectability. That would be a win, I think, based on how the season has started, but definitely I don't think they're a division winning team. Yeah,
it was. I like the play. I liked maybe chasing that a little bit. There's the defense can't get worse, right? They did pitch a shutout, so I think that game real. So, hey, they played the Cardinals tough at the end there. So we'll see kind of how they kind of end up and everything. But I don't think that you could be too blasted on this one because I do think it was pretty, like, I understood the line of thinking, but when offensive line gets hurt, Xavier Legette looks like he regressed a little bit too. But you know who does look
we need Coker back.
And this was, yeah. Oh, I know. We need Coker back. Bad. I'm sorry. But what is looking good was one. Let's take that. I want to play with. That's also Panthers related. I'm double downing on this one. That's Tetairoa McMillan to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Feeling pretty good, even though there's another receiver in the NFC South that's competing with him, Emeka Ibuka, who probably is going to get even more touches with Mike Evans getting hurt and everything. But McMillan looks exactly how I envisioned him. Just big boying, rebounding on guys, one-hand catches, really smooth after the catch. Yeah, he doesn't have that top end speed, but his acceleration and his body control are just so good that he can create that kind of simple yak. Stat wise, all the parts, and again, we're talking about Rookie of the Year, so counting stats matter. He has 216 receiving yards, which is 14th overall. Doesn't have a touchdown though. He has 6 receptions of 20 or more yards. That leads all receivers. He is 6th in receiving first downs with 12, 11th in first downs per route, 1.91 yards per route, which is 23rd. 11.5 success rate per route, which is 25th. And I mean, if Bryce Young was average, these numbers would look even better. Because I just think that McMillan has just hit the ground running. He's winning against guys, winning against press, doing some nice things after the catch. I think the Cardinals game, he had a couple nice ones on top of some almost highlight reel catches. So yeah, I'm double downing on McMillan being Offensive Rookie of the Year. It was 14-1 last month. Not sure what it is now, odds betting, but I think, you look at the other rookies, Cam Ward, the stats aren't there yet, even though I do think he's playing nice. Like, also Mike Evans, Ashton Genty. We just talked about the Raiders and the question marks there.
Nope.
Marion Hampton might start picking it up because Najee Harris got hurt, but I think, that's the one that's kind of hanging out there. But yeah, McMillan looks the part so far. It's been pretty fun to watch.
I agree with you. Week 3 against the Cardinals, I thought, you said it so perfectly. This was the exact way I thought he would be used and play in the NFL. With so many just deep dig routes where he would get on top of guys right away and then just snap it inside. And then he had the 40-yarder where Bryce Young pins it on him and he just can go after the catch. He's very smooth. He's still, if I'm nitpicking one part of his game, and it's because it was the thing I nitpicked on him as a prospect, is that I think he just doesn't have the second gear to like stack guys on the perimeter and win on go routes. That has shown up so far in the NFL, but truly everything else has been fantastic. His ability to win against press, his ability to settle into zone coverage, his ability to win against man, particularly in the intermediate area, has all been great. And again, that was the thing with him as a prospect. Everything was great except that one little tiny thing, which that one little tiny thing can be the difference between you being the 15th best receiver in the NFL and the 5th best receiver in the NFL. But like, I'm very confident that the Panthers have a hit here on their hands. They have a number 1 receiver on their hands in Tetairoa McMillan. I think he's been great and can only continue to get better. And as long as Bryce Young is protected, I do think the two of them have like a nice connection. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, the definite confidence in each other, which is cool. And he's really good on scramble drills. Like his awareness on those is one of the things I really like.
He's used to it, as you said, with him as a prospect.
More receiving yards than anyone, more routes than anyone off scramble drills. And then that was with another sub 5'11" quarterback. So no, I've really enjoyed watching him. The Panthers have been Chuba Hubbard's become one of my more favorite backs because of just how sound he is too. So there are some shining lights here, some bright spots here. And McMillan, I think, is a big part of that. All right. Well, I guess we'll go to my last one because even though we're going long, I just had to talk about this one. And this was Seahawks win the NFC West. And I'm double downing on this all the way.
Ooh, all right.
NFC West is it's a bloodbath right now. I think the Rams are very good. Yeah, I think the 49ers are 3-0 leading the division, but Nick Bosa just got hurt. And it's just like, oh God, you guys can't get over the top. So even though they have all these young guys playing well, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, but that's part of the reason why I feel better about this. And then I think the Cardinals can make a wild card team. They just, still flaws, which we talk about a million gazillion times. But watching the Seahawks, I know they haven't played Murderer's Row so far. but that's what you want to see, a 40 burger on a team that you're better than and both sides of the ball dominating. I thought they controlled the game against the Steelers for the most part. And I thought in week 1, they had a really good game, a good game, I should say, just couldn't get over the top with the 49ers. But man, they're third in offensive suplex rate, which is success rate plus explosive play rate, fifth in defensive suplex. Darnold is first in explosive pass rate, second in passes that travel 10 or more air yards, fifth in passing success rate, that's been a nice, I think, pleasant surprise. I thought this passing it would be explosive. Even if I was looking at some of the names, like, can you open it up? Can you do this? But the designs have been good. Darnold's been good operating it. There's 6th overall in success rate offense, just overall in offense. And Darnold hasn't scrambled much either, which I think shows that he's comfortable with what's going on and how he's reading things out. Defenses don't allow explosives. I think the defensive line, this defense might be the one that overtakes the Broncos. That's kind of that number one defense.
Yep.
Good call. They beat the crap out of you up front. Byron Murphy has been a monster this year. DeMarcus Lawrence was a great signing. Just a lot of their defensive linemen are playing well. Who's the other guy? God, no, I'm just blanking on their names. Boy Mafi was looked good on the edge. Leonard Williams has looked great. Josh Jobe with their corner is looking really good, which has been a nice, pleasant surprise. Again, haven't gone against the craziest slate of offenses, but that's what you want them to look like. You want to be controlling the games and everything. So I think they have the formula. I haven't even talked about the run game, which I think is good. Kenneth Walker or Charbonnet, and really Helani has looked good. I should stash him, by the way, if you want some deep guys for your fantasy team. Helani, just make sure you get him on there because Walker will get hurt at some point. Charbonnet is hurt. Torrey Horton's getting involved. Our guy, Football 301 favorite, Torrey Horton, looks great. Yeah, that was a hit. That's a double down as well. Torrey Horton should have been a day 2 pick all the way. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. This is kind of what I pictured. I was hoping, maybe 3-0 would maybe feel even better, but double downing on them winning the NFC West.
You know what's to take? I want to double down on Seahawks related. Bold prediction from the Super Bowl. I said Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to lead the NFL in receiving yards, and he's second right now in yards per game. There's 2 wide receivers who have been targeted on over 40% of their routes and have gotten a first down on over 20% of their routes. It's Puka Nacua, who's an efficiency just machine,
monster,
and then Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's number 2. He's the number 2 receiver there, and he's 11th in terms of guys 60 plus routes that have in terms of explosive play rate. So yeah, he's been awesome, and him and Darnold actually have a great connection too, don't
they? All 3 levels too, like deep ball too.
Yes, and it's just been so refreshing to see. Number one, a coordinator that realizes what he has in Jackson Smith-Njigba, because I think Waldron and Ryan Grubb especially Ryan Grubb took way too long to get there, and I think only really got there because of the DK injury. But then to see Clint Kubiak really get that, and just as you and I've talked about, when this offense has a dude, they funnel targets to the dude. That's what they're doing here with JSN. And yeah, the finally to know what they have in this guy and let him win on downfield big boy routes and not just slot stuff. Really impressive, and it's very vindicating for me because this is what I've thought about him as a player dating back to his prospect profile. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this Seahawks team is good. Winning the NFC West, we'll see. Niners are going to get some of their guys back on offense. Ricky Pearsall, though, 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards, baby. Can't take it away from us, because that's the thing for now. But they'll get healthier on offense. Obviously, the Bosa injury sucks, but they've got the 3-0 kind of lead. Rams are the Rams. The Cardinals, though, I'm so done with the Cardinals. The James Conner injury makes me even more done with the Cardinals. So I think that I've got more faith in the Seahawks winning the NFC West than the damn Arizona Cardinals. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. I'll double down on my top 10 Cardinals defense take, though, even with the corners hurt.
That's not bad.
They're giving people some issues right now. Yeah, the offense that's like the 16th best offense if I've ever seen it. They're the epitome of average right now. It's kind of, I just want to see that take that next step. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 11.1 yards per target. Trey Tucker, 10.6 yards per target. Not something I had on my bingo card going into this year, but big fan of JSN. He is just he leveled up. So this is kind of what I envisioned, but it was like, oh, well, that was easy. That was exactly like how I figured you guys would use it, and seeing them kind of get other guys involved. Cooper Kupp in week 2. Some of the tight ends in week 2. Last week, it seemed like everybody got involved, but Torrey Horton actually being real, not just a favorite of ours,
big.
low usage favorite. It's like very real and very actually impacting everything else. It's like, that's very interesting to me. So it's a very fun team to watch right now. Very complete team right now. All right. That's enough of our takes. We're closing it out today. Charles and I will be back on Thursday to preview week 4. Yeah. And then we got bye weeks, which is crazy to already think about. But I'm Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice. Matt, where can they find you? What are you working on this week?
Yeah, Matt Harmon _BYB. Just check out the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast. If you like this show, I think you will like our show as well. So, Nate, you'll be on tomorrow for the Fantasy Film Room. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Have given it 0% thought. Perfect. So, if you've got any ideas, let me know. But otherwise, I hope people check out the show.
Oh man, those props we do at the end of the show getting warmer.
Yeah,
I still
the Kincaid one.
Dalton Kincaid all day. It was kind of a ladder that one up, but there's some other ones I missed, but we won't talk about those. But no, a lot of fun. So make sure to check out Yahoo Fantasy Forecast and the Fantasy Film Room. Ton of fun doing that with you. Also, subscribe to us here at Football 301, wherever you get your podcast. Follow us, rate us 5 stars. Pretty please. Would really appreciate it. Leave us a review as well. You can do that on Spotify, Apple, wherever you want to do that, or you can watch us on YouTube. On the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. Make sure to check us out there, subscribe there, rate us there, do all that good stuff. Thanks to Stone, Madison, and Austin behind the scenes for making us look and sound good. Thank you all for listening. See you guys next time.